Hey, it's Brad and Jason. Brad from the Cinema Guys, Jason from History of Bad Ideas. We're back with another joint video, but this time we're not doing a review. We have a special guest lined up to talk to, and I'm super excited to talk to him. I know you have been.
Yes.
We are going to talk to Jed Shepherd. He's the writer, producer of the movie Host on Shudder. I know it's the big movie everybody's been talking about online. And then he has a new game, live action game, Ghosts. So you and I both jumped in on the Kickstarter on that. So I'm going to bring Jed in so we can talk to him.
Hey guys, hey Brad, hey Jason, how's it going?
It's going well.
Good.
It's been a big year for you.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm having a good time.
Do you feel like you don't want the pandemic to end just because of everything you got going on now?
It's weird because obviously the reason for the lockdowns and stuff is bad, but like, yeah, I guess I'm one of the few people that within the pandemic I've had some green shoots of hope. Yeah, it's been good. It's been pretty good for me. But yeah, hopefully it continues past all this stuff.
And Host, did you write it because of the pandemic and everybody staying at home, or was this something that you kind of had ideas for and kind of changed it up to fit this landscape?
No, we 6 weeks into lockdown in the UK, we just decided to make a movie, and I text the director Rob Savage. I text him 2 words, which was Zoom Seance. Yeah, and that's what kind of kickstarted Host. And Shudder, he pitched those 2 words to Shudder, and Shudder gave us the money to make it. But we wanted it to come out in the pandemic or in lockdown, so we had 12 weeks to write it, make it, release it before it dropped on Shudder on July 30th. And yeah, that's what we did.
We actually had a lot of the cast on. We had a virtual Comic-Con last year, and we had them on. Kevin from Nerdly Out Loud podcast had them. He hosted the panel on that, and it was unbelievable how many people, like, how it just caught fire instantly. And it was you had the buzz on it. The trailer was awesome, and then it just caught fire and just ran off. Obviously everybody is proud of their work. You know, when you write something, your goal is to be successful, obviously. But were you shocked by how quick it just took off?
Yeah, because in the UK, especially, Shudder isn't that well known among horror fans, kind of, but it's less well known here. So we just thought this was going to be a movie that our friends would see, that would be able to say, hey, here's a link to a film we made in lockdown, just to show that we weren't just like making banana bread and learning Spanish in lockdown. And yeah, we managed to make something that we were happy with and we were proud of, but you just never know. Like, me and Rob had made a bunch of shorts before Host, and they'd all been pretty successful in certain circles. They'd done festival runs. They got into, one of them got into Sundance, and yeah, we did like hundreds of festivals. So we kind of knew how to put together something. And yeah, but we had little to zero idea that this was ever going to blow up, because obviously it's a Zoom movie we made with our friends for very little money, and it's going to live on Shudder. So expectations were ultra low. And then day one of it being released, that's when places like Dread Central said this is the scariest movie of the decade, the most important movie since the Blair Witch Project and stuff like that. And I was like, what is going on? Are they talking about our film? That's crazy. And then it just blew up. It just, like, every horror website, every news outlet started picking it up. And then all of a sudden, me and Rob are on television, like a whole bunch, on BBC and on ITV, on 6 o'clock news on the ITV in the height of the pandemic. They're just doing stories about how many people died that day. And then they're like, 2 filmmakers from South London have made a Zoom movie. And yeah, it's crazy. And I think because we've been inside this whole time, we've been in lockdown the whole time, I haven't really seen anyone to experience how it's affected the world, really. I can just see online, obviously I can see online all the buzz and stuff, but it's hard for me to gauge just how much it's impacted the world. But yeah, like I'm really, really proud of it, and the fact that we got to make it with our friends is also makes it really special.
How many podcasts have you talked to about this show, this film? Is it in the hundreds, thousands? I think at one point Rob said on Twitter that he's done talking about it. I think in the very beginning.
Yeah, I think most people were, because usually with a film, you do a couple of weeks of press, like hardcore. You just blitz it. I did podcasts, interviews, and all that stuff. Probably like 5 or 6 per day at least for 8 or 9 months straight, like every single day. So while other people had kind of like given up on it, I was still doing it because I'm just excited by it, and I'm excited to talk to horror fans, and I love being on podcasts. So I love it.
And I feel like the buzz for this movie hasn't really faded. Like people are still talking about it. It's not like this was a cool thing and then it just kind of faded away. Like it's still, people still mention it and still bring it up. And it's just one of those like being in the right place at the right time kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've been, I have a podcast myself called Jed Talks, and I have loads of cool people in it. But like a couple of episodes ago was the writer-director of the Blair Witch Project, Eduardo Sanchez, and obviously I was interviewing him, but he kept on trying to change the conversation around the host about how much he loves it. And I'm like, Eduardo, like host wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Blair Witch Project. So like, let's talk about the Blair. And he's like, oh, I can't. Like, it's amazing. Like, how did you think to do this? And I was like, the Blair Witch Project. That's how I thought how to do that. And he's like, but yeah, no, it's like honestly every day, like it's new people discovering it. It is really, really cool. Yeah, and because like just last week it went on to Amazon Prime in India, and up until now recently, there's been so many Indian fans, but they'd been downloading it illegally, watching it illegally. Fine, if it's not available in your area, and it should be, then like I can't really like have a go at them for that because they just want to see this film.
Yeah.
But now it's there legally. Hopefully they all watch it legally. But it's like that all over the world. Like it was only released in America, in the UK, in Canada, like first, and you just saw the entire world go, we want to watch it too. But yeah, no, it's hard to kind of describe like the roller coaster this has been for the last like 8 months.
Well, and since then, like I'm a big horror fan, and I'm a big fan of this movie. One of the big things that really kind of got me like, I'm going to see if I can just bring him on to talk. You have a live action horror game in the works with all the ladies from Host called Ghosts.
Yeah,
and like Jason and I have both jumped in on the Kickstarter because we're like, I need to see this game. I want to play this and see what it's all about. What brought this idea up?
Well, it kind of started around Halloween last year when cinemas reopened for about 2 weeks in the UK. So a lot of cinemas, Host was being shown in about 150 cinemas around the UK basically. So we did a lot of Q&A. So I got to, for the first time in ages, got to hang out with all my friends, going from cinema to cinema doing Q&As for Host. And that's just that whole time I was like, oh, it's really cool just to do a project with your friends. It'd be cool to do another one. And at the time I was playing in lockdown, I was playing a lot of full motion video games from Limited Run Games, mostly who we released a lot of the ones from the 90s, like Night Trap and Phantasmagoria and Double Switch and stuff like that, and Seventh Guest and stuff like that. And I love those games. They're really kind of what's the word? Interesting in their execution, and they really try to push the boundaries of what you could do in the game at that point. Obviously, technology wasn't as far advanced as their concepts, but it was really good try, I would say, for a lot of those games. So I kind of just like melded the two together in my mind. I was just like, oh, wouldn't it be good if I could do a full motion video game with my friends, with the girls from Host, and just kind of do it without any studio interference or anything like that. So I just parked the idea in my brain for 24 hours, and then just bizarrely, this video games company hit me up on Twitter in my DMs and just said, "Hey, we make horror games. We're looking for new ideas. Do you have any?" And this happens every now and again, to be honest. Like even before Host, but I'm always like, "Oh, well, I don't really have anything." And this time I was like, "Well, actually, I do have something. I just thought of." I pitched it to them. I was like, "Hey, is it possible for you to do live action? Jump on a Zoom?" Explained to them what I wanted to do, and I was like, and the other thing is I want it to be locked in at 10 p.m. You can only play the game at 10 p.m. And they were like, "That's crazy," but I love it. So they said they could do it. So we had more discussions, and then I do what I usually do, and I just ask people if they want to be involved, and I genuinely just want the best people in the world for every area. As you know, Trevor Henderson, who's the creator of Siren Head, I asked him to do creature design. Then I went to Jim Henson's Creature Shop and asked them to actually make it, and they just all said yes. And Graham Humphreys, who did all the classic Nightmare on Elm Street and Evil Dead posters, asked him if he would do the artwork for this, and he was like, "Yeah." So I just kind of convinced this to form this weird Avengers of like horror people, and yeah, it's happening. We're down into the Kickstarter, and that's fully funded. So yeah, just without any kind of outside forces, just managed to put this together.
And the Kickstarter just ended. Was it just this week or last week, wasn't it?
On Friday, yes. So
and,
a few days ago.
Will people get a chance to like pre-order, buy into the game, not just through the Kickstarter afterwards?
Yeah, but those that bought through Kickstarter will get, I think, it's exclusive artwork. So people who pre-order outside of the Kickstarter, they just get different artwork, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got a real limited. You're one of the lucky ones. So you could probably sell it on for like a whole bunch of money.
And how was it being able to? I mean, just the idea of Jim Henson's Creature Shop to work on your designs. Like, are they doing the long lady and stuff like that, or they?
Yeah, so I am genuinely, like no joke, the biggest Henson fan. Like I read every single book you can think of. Like right next to me over there, I have the illustrated history of Labyrinth, which is a really thick book with all the creatures and stuff, which I read all the time. It's just really relaxing. And Labyrinth is also one of my favorite movies of all time. And I watch it like every other day, just sometimes in the background while I'm working, because it's really calming and I know everything off by heart, and obviously Bowie. So yeah, so there was only one. I know most horror films would go to like places that have done horror creatures before, but I'm just like, they did the Skeksis. They're scary in Dark Crystal, and I find that scary as an adult. So I was like, maybe they could make the Long Lady, and they're genuinely just working with me because they love the idea. It's obviously not a money thing because we don't have the money to pay them what they're really worth, but they have. Like their whole team just given me like crazy time and access, and like yesterday they were video calling me to show me the Long Lady and doing some tests and stuff, and oh my god, so damn cool. Like it's crazy to see that stuff. Yeah, and this week they're going to do a photo shoot with her in LA before it gets sent to me. I think this week or next week. But yeah, it's like a dream come true working with them. But yeah, it's not going to be the last time either. I'll work with them a whole bunch, I'm sure.
Did you write into the contract with Jim Henson Muppet Shop that you have to go tour their facility? Because that would be the only thing I would want to do, like just see everything on it.
They have offered that, yeah, and like yeah, as soon as I'm in LA, I'm going to live in there. I'm just going to live in there, like because honestly, they're like breakout staff room type thing. It's just got creatures everywhere. Oscar the Grouch is in there. You've got like 2 Skeksis. You've got just other stuff. Like, oh my god, it must be a dream working there.
That would be amazing. Dark Crystal is one of my all-time favorite movies, and just I don't know. I'm excited to see what they have with the ideas that you have. I've only seen obviously the few pictures of the Long Lady that you've posted on Twitter and stuff like that, like the sketches or the old photos.
Yeah. And wait till you see her move. Oh my god.
Can you do a horror movie with just Muppets from them? Could you do something like that?
Well, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they're into horror. They are into horror. The people that work there. So yeah, we'll see. There's irons in the fire.
I don't trust the Swedish chef. I'll be honest. I think he's a serial killer. I don't think it stops at chickens with that guy.
And Ghost comes out 2/22/22, correct? Is the
or if you're from the UK, 22/2/22. Yeah.
Is there a reason you just picked that date just to be like, hey, this would be cool to line it up this way, or is it? There's
a reason to it.
Okay,
but you have to wait.
And you probably can't give too much away. I know. And when you called up all the ladies from Host and said, "Hey, I'm going to make a game," where they were like, "Yes, I want to work with you again. You scared me to death once. Why not scare me again?"
Yeah, well, this is actually the third time I've worked with all five at the same time. Like before Host, I did a short film that barely anybody's seen actually, because I haven't put it online, but it did some festivals. It's called Multiplex, and they're all in it, and that's pretty much why it's this combination in Host, because that's how. I mean, three of them were in Dawn of the Death, a short film that me and Rob did, and then I put Gemma and Emma along with those girls into Multiplex, and that's why they were all kind of part of our friendship group, and why they're in Host. I'm gonna keep working with them forever. I think. And they were. I mean, they now very used to me going, "Hey, I've got this crazy idea," and they'll be like, "Sure, yeah, okay."
Why not? Where do I show up? What time?
Yeah, that is how they are.
That's awesome.
So Kickstarter is a wonderful. Sorry, right? Kickstarter is a wonderful tool because almost, Brad and I think this was your first Kickstarter, right?
My second.
Second, okay.
Only the second Kickstarter I've ever done a funding on.
So I've done several, and I usually do tabletop games or different little things in that. So this is the first video game that I contributed to. What the hell did I buy? Because I'm intrigued.
Which one? Which one did you go for?
I don't even know. I think 50. I don't know. I think I upped mine because it was. So my question is though, it's live at 10 p.m. right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you can't give everything a lot away. So am I can I play it later after that too? Or obviously the hook is the live. But what did I buy?
You bought an experience.
Okay.
So if you want a game that you can just pick up and play while you're on the toilet at 3 p.m., this is not the game for you. Okay. The conceit is you are a producer, an underpaid and overworked producer of a live TV show. In order for you to get into the mindset of this producer who has a lot to do, you have to start work when he starts work. Like with Host, the authenticity with Host is that everything was real names, real houses, real friendships, real conversations. And in this, to further destroy the barrier between artifice and reality, I've set it at 10 p.m. because that's when your job starts and you've got to do it. And if you're bad at your job, bad things happen. If you're good at your job, good things happen. So yeah, and I know it was a risk, and I promise you, I saw all of the comments that said this Kickstarter is going to fail. This is going to fail. Just the trolls. Who's going to do? Yeah. Who's going to buy a game that only can only play at 10 p.m. And this is the same thing that we got with Host. Who wants to watch a film about Zoom? Who wants to blah blah blah? And then when it came out, it worked. And I don't want to do easy things. I want to do things that kind of challenge people and challenge myself. So and I was kind of inspired by Hideo Kojima's game from the early 2000s called Boktai. Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hands, which is a Game Boy Advance game with a solar panel on the cartridge where you play a vampire hunter and you have to go outside into the sunshine and collect sunshine basically in order to power your hero. And just that mixing of real life and gaming was so interesting to me. So I kind of wanted. I knew people would rub up against it, but I'm just like, this is, you make a game then. I'm going to make the game that I think is cool.
Yeah. When I immediately heard of it, I was intrigued, and the first thing I thought of was the movie Brain Scan, where he could only play that game at a certain time.
Good reference, yeah.
And whenever he tried to play it outside of that, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, that was the first thing that popped in my head.
That's very good reference. Yeah, yeah. I didn't even think of that myself, but like that, I used to rent that on VHS like every other day as well. Love that film.
You said earlier that some of your growing up that you played Seventh Guest, and one of our favorites around my house was Night Trap, because it was so controversial at the time. And then you look back on it like, really, this is controversial? Like you play it now and you're like, what the hell am I playing?
It was banned. It was like semi-banned here. Like you couldn't get it anywhere because we like fly into outrage at the drop of a hat. So when Night Trap was announced, there's news reports about it. It was like a big controversy. And you play it now, it's so tame. It is so tame, and that's why I'm thinking like this game is going to like be Night Trap, but what if Night Trap wasn't tame? What if Night Trap really was scary and there were consequences? That's kind of how I'm going into this, like a full motion video game that is actually scary, which is kind of rare.
Night Trap's funny too, because that is the first one that I remember growing up that you actually had a TV star in it. Dana Plato was in it, and that was the big hook at the time. Like, oh my God, we got somebody from TV and movies that's actually in it. And now you see everybody from TV and films in these things. But I remember getting the Sega CD and getting that, and my brother got it, and we're just like, oh my God, look how it moves. And then looking back, it's like, okay, it takes 5 minutes to load. Here we go, still waiting. Like, did the trap work? Yeah. So, anytime somebody mentions Night Trap, I'm all in.
Oh man, yeah, no, I absolutely love Night Trap, and there was one called Double Switch as well with Corey Haim, which I absolutely loved. The game wasn't great, but I just love the fact that Corey Haim was like breaking the fourth wall to speak to you, like this is happening, you should get up into the attic and stuff. Really interesting.
And another thing I wanted to ask was you're really active on Clubhouse, which immediately after this game was announced, like you started a Clubhouse, and I listen in every so often whenever I can. I listen into them, but everybody like firing at you like this game came out of nowhere, and they're like, wait, we don't know anything about it. What is this? And you've kind of blown up Clubhouse. Like you're one of their like first creators now, and you like, can you tell me about even that experience of like this new social media platform that?
Yeah, well, like I genuinely, so when I first joined Clubhouse, I didn't really know what it was, and this was only in the start of February, and the first thing I noticed was it was really hard to find a room about horror. That there was nowhere to find horror. So I was like, oh, maybe there's a horror club, and there was no club called Horror. And I was like, that's crazy. I'll start a horror club. And I literally have the club called Horror, which is crazy that no one had it, and the app had been around for almost a year. So I started the horror club, and then like Field of Dreams, people came because I built it, and now I just attracted like just the top names in horror. Like on my Clubhouse of Horror room on Thursdays 4 p.m. Pacific, it just has this, like, I co-host with Barbara Crampton to give you an idea of like how cool it's got. But yeah, I'll just have like just the top names, like Fangoria was in there, Blumhouse, just the biggest names. I had a Jacob's Wife room a couple of weeks ago with the cast and crew of Jacob's Wife, and also Creepshow as well, because Barbara was in an episode of Creepshow, so Joe Lynch came in and a couple of the other actors. But Bonnie Aarons is always in there. He's the nun in the Conjuring movies and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's regulars, and Kelly Maroney and Catherine Mary Stewart from my favorite film, Night of the Comet. They're in there all the time. Yes, it's just really cool. And then off the back of that, because I only go into the horror rooms, I didn't really know anything about this Creator First thing that Clubhouse were doing, which is the program where they're giving opportunities to a select few people to do pilot episodes of a show on Clubhouse, kind of like a Spotify type thing where they give creators a chance to make things. And on the very last day that you had to submit an application, like I still didn't know about it. And then someone sent me the application link maybe like 40 minutes before the deadline. And genuinely, all I wrote was my name, Jed Shepherd, and then I wrote Clubhouse of Horror, which is what a room I do on Thursdays, and I have Q&As with horror people, etc. That maybe I put my Twitter handle. That's it. And then I just did not think about it until I got an email like a month later saying, "Hey, you're our inaugural Creator First group of people." I'm like, what? That's crazy. Because like, other people submitted really extensive applications, and I didn't. Like, I honestly, like, I just didn't know what it was. And to be quite honest, I still don't quite know what it is. But next week on May the 20th, I'm doing a horror room in their Clubhouse HQ room to like thousands of people. Instead of hundreds, it's going to be thousands of people, mostly people who don't like horror, I'm guessing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. So yeah, and now like when there's articles on the internet about Clubhouse, they often mention me, like people creatives use Clubhouse, such as Jed Shepherd. I'm like, oh my god, I must get off this app because like I'm being associated with it all the time now in news articles. Well, yeah, I didn't know it'd be big.
I didn't really know what it was, and then I just started messing around, and I joined the horror club, and I pop in when I can just to listen in whenever I have time, and I'm like, this is just kind of cool, getting to be able to hear from people at Barbara Crampton that she's Jacob's wife, and we just did an episode on Sacrifice that she came out with a few months ago, and it's just cool to hear all this. Have you made any connections of like possible future projects via the Clubhouse?
Loads. So yeah, like a couple of months ago, there's a guy called Sebastian, otherwise known as SW, on the platform, where he has his company has basically funded 10 or 11 filmmakers that he met on Clubhouse, funded short films for them, and putting them all together into a Clubhouse anthology, which is going to be released later on this year. And so there's all of these collaborations happening all over the place. People are finding directors are finding writers are finding directors, producers are being found, people are finding actors for their stuff, and this has all happened within the horror Clubhouse banner. But for me specifically, yeah, loads. Like so I mean, I can't say too much, but like some of the connections I've made on there, it has led to both TV and film projects that I'm doing, multiple, which is, I don't know when it's going to be announced, but yeah, it's crazy. And this is genuinely not from even trying to make those connections. They've just organically happened.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and you'll notice, like, especially in the horror club, it is the most chill place ever. There's no one like pitching all the time. Actually, one of the rules of the horror club is no pitching, because I don't want people to come in and just start pitching to execs. Because, for instance, like Ryan Turek from Blumhouse might be in the room. Like, people will just start pitching to him because this is like unprecedented access to like someone high up in Blumhouse, and there's a ton of other studios there as well, and I have to have like a no pitching rule, otherwise that people are just gonna abuse it, and then those people won't come back. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had the head of Raimi Productions in there, Zainab, who's just a lovely person, and people could go up and ask her questions about what it's like to work with Sam Raimi and how to get meetings with people like Zainab in Hollywood when you don't have representation. So it's a learning experience as well for people, as well as making connections. I think it's the greatest networking app there possibly is. You have direct access to those people like never before, and now it's on Android as well. Now everyone can do it, because it was only on iOS until a couple of days ago, and now everyone can do it.
That's awesome.
You did you talk about your short films and that. Mm-hmm. I feel like, especially with the pandemic, everybody's behind a computer now. Everybody's at home. It's getting better, but it felt like there was a resurgence of, not that they went away, but like a popularity resurgence in short films. Do you think that, obviously you started with short films, feature films and that, do you think you would still go back to short films, or do you think that, or is it just dictates by the story that you need to tell? If I can tell the story in 30 minutes as opposed to 2 hours and, no offense, Peter Jackson's 6-hour shows, do you think you still think that you would go back to that type of filmmaking?
Yeah, because I would think a film should last as long as the story lasts, and if I've got a story that lasts for 2 minutes, then it's a short. If I have a story that lasts for 90 minutes, then it's a film. Like, it's not. I don't kind of think of it as like feature or short, but I also love shorts. I love shorts. If you see my short Salt that me and Rob did, it's 2 minutes of just like you breathe in the first second, and then you don't breathe out until it finishes. And I just like having something with absolutely no fat whatsoever. Like you see with Host, there's no fat on that whatsoever. It just gets down to it, and that's the beauty of what shorts can do as well. And and some of my ideas are only like really quick ones. So you'll definitely see me do shorts. And also like it's a good proof of concept if you have a crazy idea that you want to kind of pitch to someone, instead of them taking a chance spending 10 million on a film. Mm-hmm. Spend 5-10 grand making a short to show them this is kind of what it would be like, and you've got more chance of the bigger film getting made. And a lot of studios are using it shorts as a way to find new talent as well. And I'm definitely one of those people who will help up and coming filmmakers as well. So I'll jump on as a producer of someone's short just to kind of get it seen maybe. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of my friends make shorts, and like I love watching them, so long may it continue.
I feel like with shorts too, like you really just gotta whet the fans' appetite, the audiences, and like you said, you don't overstay your welcome. There's nothing, and I think that is more important than adding filler. Like, I think that's a big part of it. Because in the States, we have all of our TV shows up until about 5 years ago had like 23 episodes every season. And then you watch something from the UK and it's like, well, there's 8 episodes. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like Broadchurch or something like that.
Or The Office, 6 episodes, 12 episodes for 2 seasons, that's it.
Yeah. and it was like, you watch these and you're like, oh my God, I got 18 more episodes of this. And I'm like, and then you watch something from, another country, it's like 8 episodes. It's like, I want more, but I'm glad that they only did those because they're really, it's 8 damn good pieces of filmmaking as opposed to 23, average.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Well, Jed, I want to thank you for coming on and talk to us. This has been awesome. Where can people find you? Like if they wanted to connect with you or anything like that?
You can find me on Twitter at Jed Shepherd, JedShepherd. Same on Instagram, and obviously Clubhouse. Just go to Clubhouse, search my name, follow me, but also just follow the Horror Club. Type in horror, go to club, and then you'll see Horror Club. It's the one with the most members. And
I vouch for that. Jump into the Horror Club. There's some great conversations over there.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. And for buying the game as well. Thank you.
I still don't know what I bought, but I'm excited.
We'll let you know. Next February, how the game was.
Oh yeah, definitely. If I haven't been killed by trolls by then, but yeah. But actually, to be honest, you don't have to wait till February to get ghost content. There's going to be throughout the year. There'll be stuff happening, but I can't say what it is yet. But there'll be a lot of things happening. Like it's when you ask like, what did you buy? You bought more than just the game. There's other stuff happening too, and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm excited. I really am. But I
yeah.
Brad sent it over to me, and I was like, "This looks awesome." And I went to buy it. I'm like, I bought it. I looked at my wife. I was like, I have no idea what I bought, but it looks great. Like I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Isn't it like I just think it's better if it's a bit of a surprise than because we had a lot of people saying, "Can you explain more about the film?" It's like if I explain it, it'll spoil it. Like,
yeah, you don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, it's like before you go to watch a film, you ask someone, "Hey, can you just tell us the entire plot, please?" It'll just spoil it. I want it to be an experience where every night people will just be like, "Oh my god, did you see that? Did you see that? What did you do? Oh, I did this, and I saw something different." And then you have that in between time each night where you discuss it with people. Like, okay, like so when it hits 10 p.m. again tonight, I'm going to try this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. And everybody watching, thank you for tuning in to our talk with Jed Shepherd. And good luck with everything in the future. I'm sure we'll have you on either here or one of our podcasts at some point to chat again. And like and subscribe to our channels. We put these on both, on History of Bad Ideas and the Cinema Guys. But we will be back soon with a new video.